that's not the answer it shows.
3 over 4. Plus what?
Times.
Times
8.
88.
So when you put like the whole thing in,
Mhm.
No, do that,
So you just put it all in like it is? Do you know what these bars are?
Negative 12.
Wouldn't it take them to put it to cost?
Uh-huh, that's absolute value. So if you type all that in, you gotta put absolute value bar. Did you do that? Uh-huh. So look up there on the -7 on the board. It's got those straight lines on both sides. Okay, you hit math. There should be something that says ABS. I'm gonna move it over to num, the first one, ABS.
I must have had it.
Yeah, that's okay. So math, num, ABS. Alright.
Do you think this is right for
I don't know, I'm just trying to see if this thing will let me write on that and erase it. Should.
I don't know. There's just a lot of it's just okay, the only thing.
You can ask me, I'm not smacking anybody. What you got?
Okay, so
Uh-oh.
this is 7. Okay.
Alright.
I don't know if I said that.
For number 3. And that's in those absolute value bars. So you're gonna work everything out like you did, and then at the very end, take the absolute value of it. So yes. The 8, I'm not sure if it's a negative, let me see.
That's what calculator showed you.
Yes.
Oh, crap.
Alright, when you get done, then we'll have a seat and talk about it, and then we'll give you some more. Yes, ma'am. Negative 19 halves for number 4.
Times 2.
No. Let me see what
Was
you,
2 correct?
what'd you get on 2? Do you have the, let me see, do you have the fraction for that? My answer's in a fraction, so it's okay, let me see what that's. Yes, but it's not, it won't be repeating like that. It should have been 0.5 repeating. Then, yeah, the calculator rounded that last number up to a 6 just because it ran out of room. Alright, let me see what Janet had going on hers. Negative 6, 7,
What's my push?
It is a positive, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm not
There's
square.
three negatives, so that's good.
All of it?
So,
Yeah, I know. And I did that. And it's 64.
so 16 over
So mine is
4.
4.
This is right.
Yeah.
9 over 6, 3 halves over 3. So this is right. I just don't think you subtracted wrong somewhere. So if you put this over 2 to get a common denominator, 12 is the same as 24 over 2,
It was 1.
right? 24 divided by 2. So this would be like
Yes.
Yeah, you guys.
21 over 2 minus 24 over 2, so it'd still be over 2, and 21 minus 24, got that. So you had it, I mean, you're good, this is correct, but I don't know if you just hit something, did you do that in your calculator? This just hit something, how'd you, see if it'll scroll up and let me see how you pushed it in there. Did you put that in 21 over 2 as a fraction? Kind of, huh.
I don't even know if this is right. This one
crazy a minute ago. Oh, sorry, Austin. How we doing? Good?
We're done.
Okay, go ahead and go back, and we'll talk and look, and we'll see. And then, this is our lesson today. If you look up there by, is it Hunter, is that it? All right, you look up there by Hunter, order of operations, which is what you were dealing with, even though I didn't tell you, on number 1 and 2, and then evaluating expressions on 3 and 4, so that's pretty much it. So, I'm gonna make some notes here. I was checking to make sure, to see if I could write on this page and erase it, I wasn't sure. So over here, order of operations, if you know them, if you remember them, don't worry about writing it down, but this is the way I always remember them. Okay, so I've got P, and that P, when I say it, is parentheses, but it's not only parentheses. It actually means any kind of grouping symbol, right? So over here on number 1, you've got the squiggly brackets, those curly braces that are parentheses, that are grouping symbols. Absolute value bars are grouping symbols. A giant fraction bar like this on number 2 is a grouping symbol because it tells you to do the top and the bottom separately. So all those are grouping symbols. Now let me say this, these new high-tech fancy dancy calculators we got, they know the order of operations. So as long as we're careful on typing stuff in, we ought to be able to get stuff right. But I'm gonna work through these following the order of operations and make sure we remember them. So parentheses are grouping symbols is our P. E, remember the E stands for? Exponents, good. And then M/D, multiply, divide, and those are equal. That's why I put them together by each other. So if you have both, which one do you do first? No?
Divide.
Left or right? You go left or right, whichever one's first on the left. Same down here, what is the AS? Add, subtract, and same thing, they're equal, so you go left or right if you've got both. Alright, so up here on number 1, if I'm gonna do this without a calculator, looking in, I think both crews got it right. I do have some big grouping symbols, so I can go ahead and start breaking down in those. Inside this big grouping symbol, I've got more grouping symbols, so I would be attacking right here first, wouldn't I? Okay, so what's 5 squared? Because that would come first, 25, and then 25 plus 12.
37.
So I got a 37 on that piece. Okay, now over here, had to remember what these straight lines meant, these bars, that's absolute value. Definition of absolute value is the distance you are from 0 on the number line. Absolute value, distance is always a positive number. Even if you're driving reverse in your car, you're still going somewhere, miles don't come off of your car. So it's a positive number. So this is just like saying 7 minus 15. Now this squared here is outside the parentheses. So that means it wants me to do 7 minus 15 first and then square it, right? You with me on that? So 7 minus 15 is negative 8. You with me? What's negative 8 squared?
64.
64, because that means negative 8 times negative 8. So I got a 64 on that piece. But look here, we're still in these grouping symbols, and we still have this sign between those two, right? So now I would subtract. What's 37 minus 64? Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so I've wiped them out. That's gone. That had a division sign in front of it. It was hard to read with all my scribbles. And a 6 cubed. Okay, I haven't taught you, but you probably know from previous how to do 6 cubed on the calculator. But it just means 6 times 6 times 6. I think that's 216. Am I right? Yeah, they've got it on their notes over there. So 216 divided by negative 27 is your last step. And that got us negative 8. Now you got that, just typing that whole thing in the calculator, but we had to be careful. And I showed Austin and Kira over there, the absolute value bars are in the calculator. If you have got one and you ever want to use them, you hit math, move it over to num, and the very first one says ABS, that stands for absolute value. So if it was something harder than negative 7 that we had, you could do that. Alright, start me off on number 2, y'all talk to me. Don't be scared. Y'all did it right over there on your board? What'd y'all do first over there on number 2?
I took all the exponents and went ahead and found what they were.
Okay, so the first thing I saw over there is that they went ahead and did that 11 squared. So we're looking at negative 40 plus 121,
Yeah.
and then just fill in, and then they put a 27 for 3 cubed, right?
Yeah. I think.
And I think y'all thought it was a squared, it looks like you wrote it down wrong.
Yeah, sorry
So
about
that's
that.
okay, that's okay, your answer might get changed now. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Okay. Jalen, if you ever need to move, you can. We know, I love to pick on Austin and his smallness, so we know he's hard to see around. 18 minus 36 times 2. Okay, so good job on that. We got all of those exponents eliminated there, Kinley did. Now, I've still got an invisible grouping symbol. Remember that big fraction bar splits you into a top or a bottom? And on the top, I've got another grouping symbol. I would need to do everything underneath that radical together. That's in a group, right? So what's negative 40 plus 121? Is that 81? Is that where you got your 81 on that?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Jalen checked you out, it's 81. Okay? Now, I've written it up there above it because I'm running out of room. But now I know what the square root of 81 is. That's a perfect square because 9 times 9 makes 81. So now I've got subtraction and addition on the top, so I go left to right. And this is where y'all will have the error because you did squared instead of cubed, but that's all right. So 27 minus 6 is 21 plus 9. So we end up with a 30 on the top. You all right? Okay, now to the bottom. Worked it out down here where my mouse is going crazy. I've got subtraction and multiplication. So what should I do first down here? Multiply. So 36 times 2 gets me 72. So we're looking at 18 minus 72. What's 18 minus 72? Negative what? Alright, so then I just need to see if 30 over negative 54 can reduce or not. You bet your boots you can. What does it say on that, Joan? Negative 5/9 is the smallest fraction that it can go to. And I believe, this is what Kira and Austin were talking about, if you put a decimal, I think that's negative 0.5 repeating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job, y'all are getting it. Getting up, getting them calculators, getting after it. Understood, just told y'all earlier, get a calculator, do it. Alright, we good on the order of operations there? Pemdas, you've heard teachers in the past spell this out, P-E-M-D-A-S, Pemdas. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Some different ways to remember that. Okay, let me erase that and we'll scribble on the bottom 2 down there. And I'm gonna let y'all practice a few and then that'll be an easy schmeezy day. Alright, so down here, evaluate the expressions. So they give you the values to plug in, and then you just gotta be able to work them out and solve.
How
So,
we do that again? Use the bar.
hit math and move it over to num on the top, and the very first one will say ABS. That's absolute value bars.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm gonna say, now this is tricky with this negative out in front, because that means I'm gonna do negative, then put my A and square it. Minus 2 times my B times my C. Okay? So when I square 8, that's 64, but then it's got a negative in front of it. So I got negative 64, that's my absolute value bar I'm still working in. Alright, so negative 2 times negative 2, you could take this sign right here and bring it down as a minus, or you could go ahead now and use it as a negative. It doesn't matter as long as you're careful and know what you've done. It'll work either way. I'm gonna say negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, and then 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. So I'm gonna have a minus sign there for my 36. Okay, then what's negative 64 minus 36?
Negative 100.
Negative 100. And what's the square root of, not square root, what's the absolute value of negative 100?
100.
Positive 100, very good. Okay? I'd be interested, how'd y'all, cause y'all got it set up right. Oh, you forgot the negative. Yeah. Get up. Everybody okay on that one? Alright, let me erase and we'll look at the last one. Got some fractionals to deal with on that one. Oh, holy cats. Make sure everybody's awake. Don't you fall asleep on me. Alright. Oh, I got negative 76 times negative 9. C was negative 9 plus 3/4 times A is 8 times B is negative 2. Alright, so negative 76 times 9. If you don't know how to put a fraction in your calculator, you've got options. You can put it in parentheses with a division sign, or you can hit alpha y equals enter and it'll bring up a fraction bar. So either one of those. I think, see if I can do 9 6 in my head is 3 halves, 21 halves. Okay, Kinley concurs. 21 halves, and that's a negative times a negative, so that'll be positive. Okay, then over here, I know 8 and 2, so 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. 16 over 4 is 4, so negative 12. 21 halves minus 12.
Yeah.
Good. And now when I was working with Jalen, because she did it right and got everything right, she just had a calculator brain fart. If you wanted to work it out by hand, you would need a common denominator. So 12 is the same as 24 divided by 2. So you could do it that way, or just be careful, type in your calculator, that's fine. Negative 1 1/2 is what they've got, yeah. And Jalen ended up with negative 3 halves, which is the same as negative 1 1/2. So you could write that either way, negative 1.5, negative 1 1/2, or negative 3 halves. Those all mean the same. Good job. Pretty easy stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Alright, let me erase my Pemdas so I can show that to next period, and I'm gonna give y'all just a few more to work on your boards together. I know this is review, the stuff we did yesterday was review also, so some of this stuff you don't need a lot of notes on, but if there's anything that you're needing notes, make sure you're getting them, because this is your stuff, okay? Alright, let's go get a white marker now, because I changed the color on you. Last year, the people that were virtual said when I used a black background, they could see it on the camera better. So that's why I started trying to do that. I was like, oh yeah. Alright, we'll give you 2 order of operations to do, and then just 1 of the evaluatings to do. And if we do good, that'll be it. If we need more practice, we'll do more practice.
Do we have to go to our board?
Yeah. I know, that's annoying, but you gotta do it. That's not supposed to be a bar there, dumb butt. I'm sorry, Austin, I'm slowing you down. 2 minus 3q plus 6 squared divided by 4. Okay, there's numero uno. Should be an order.
29.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
29.
There's number 2. And the last one. Okay, see if you can get an answer for those 3. Oh, I did tell you one little fib. We do have one more thing, I'm sorry. So, it's close, but
Yeah.
one more thing. There's a, on the
Divided by
far
16.
left, about halfway down, there's a rooftop key, I think. Oh, it's on the right, I'm sorry. And then, yeah, thank you, Austin. for some reason.
Let's see here.
Oh, what the?
You got the M, which
Oh,
is two.
Oh, I
Good
And
job
this
over there,
thing
group.
right here.
Both groups are doing a good job talking to each other. Good job. Remember, we gotta all understand it. We gotta all get it. Good job.
right?
Yep.
8 times 3, get that 3 squared.
Yep.
35, 61, and 2.
35, 61, 52.
52. Yep. Good job. Yep. Good job.
I'm remembering.
Good job. Good job.
Did you get it right? 52.
Hey, you had one thing to fix here, Leilani. You got a negative and a positive. So, what, do you wanna do this as a minus sign or negative? Let me do it the way you do it. Do you think that's a minus sign or a negative? Okay, so negative 48 divided by positive 16 is just negative 3. So you wouldn't have, you had written 2 negatives down there, just bring it down once. Yes. And now after she changes that, all 3 of them. Make sure all of you understand all 3 of them, and y'all be good. Everybody good? Okay, both groups were good on all 3 of them, good job. So I'm not going to go back through them with you. They've showed their steps out over here. Some of y'all showed some steps over there. Also showed me on the calculator. You had them all 3 lined up on the calculator. I do want to write the answers up there just so that if anybody's working along at home, they'll be able to check them. So the first one we got 35-2. And the second one we got 61.
Then
And then the last one we got 52. All right, good job. So I just got one more thing to look at. That we evaluated those expressions because they gave us the unknown values. We plugged them in and evaluated. But if we don't have the unknown values, we just need to simplify an expression. Let's look at that real quick. Let's say I had 16x minus 11 minus 7x plus 10. And I'm not telling you what x is equal like I did on the previous problems, so you're not going to get a normal answer like 35 like you did on the previous problems. This is called an expression because we don't have the equal sign in there. So we're just going to simplify these expressions, which means we're just going to combine like terms. So like terms are things that have the exact same variables. So I would look and I would say, well, this thing is just like that thing, right? So the x's are like terms. So if I had 16 x's, and this has got a minus sign in front of it, so 16 x's, and I subtract 7 x's, how many x's are left?
9.
So I got 9x, okay? So if I'm working this out as I go, I can say I'm done with that now, right? Now I've got a negative 11, that's just a constant number, and a 10, that's just a constant number. So what do I get when I combine negative 11 and positive 10? Negative 1. And now you can't do anything else to that because this one's got an x and this one doesn't.
don't you square
Nope, there's no square. Oh, I know what you're talking
Square
about. When you're adding or subtracting with variables, you don't change the power. It'll be when we get into multiplying and dividing. So you couldn't say this 16x minus 7x, that was the 2x's, so make it a squared. No, we don't do that. Just when you multiply and divide, do you change powers. Okay, so let me give you one of those to try on your own, and you don't have to go to your board for this one, but I just want you to try it on your own to see. I'm going to put a bigger step in this one. Throw a parentheses in it. 13 plus 2 times 3n minus 7 plus 19n. Okay, just try that right there with your table buddies. If you want to go to the board instead of getting out paper, you can. That's up to you. But if you need to get out some paper, then get out some paper. Doesn't matter to me.
Students, Jocelyn will be on campus Monday morning at 9 a.m. in the high school cafeteria to meet with seniors about graduation orders. They will return on August 30th for you to place orders. They will also meet with juniors who order rings to hand out those immediately following the senior meeting. Seniors and juniors will be called to the cafeteria when Jocelyn is ready for them. If you attend the Saline County Career and Technical Campus, you need to attend there on Monday. You can get graduation
Yeah,
information
that's
from Ms.
something wrong.
Simmons
Let's
when
figure
you
it out.
return or pick up your ring if you ordered one. Thank you.
What'd you do? So you brought down 13, and what did you do?
I'll multiply.
Okay, check that. What's 2 times 3?
9.
No, it's not 3 squared, it's just 2 times 3.
Oh.
And you'll
I
need
had
to
that- I had
change,
that.
yeah, you need to change the 49 too.
We're done.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna write down the way Jalen, she did hers on the board over there. I'm gonna write down the way she wrote her answer. Okay, there it is. You can look over there, or you can look up on the smart board. She wrote that, and I told her that was correct. Leilani, is that how y'all wrote your answer?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, now, I wouldn't have written mine that way. I thought I was gonna get a chance to show you another way, but that's correct. So let's see about how we would get there. What did you do first? Okay, so we distributed our 2 to both of those things there, so I'm gonna have a 13. 2 times 3 in gives me a 6 in, and 2 times -7 gives me a -14. Okay, so now there's no more distributing or anything to do, you just have to go hunting for like terms. Okay, and so if y'all put the -1 first, which tells me y'all probably did your plain old numbers first, your constants first, is that true? No? Okay, that's okay. And it doesn't matter. You could do the variables first or the constants first, either one, it doesn't matter. But this 13 and -14 gets you the -1. And then the +6 in and the +19 in gets you a +25 in. Okay, so that's correct, great job. If we're taking the ACT or any other standardized test, they're more than likely gonna write that answer like that. Do you know that's the same thing? Can we make that, okay? Either one's correct, either one's fine, but most of the time people will put the variable first. I'm not gonna count it wrong if you put it this way, because that's just as correct, but you know, it could go the other way as well. Okay? Everybody good? Alright, let me tell you where we're headed. Tomorrow, we're gonna talk a lot more about tomorrow we're gonna review solving equations. Okay, you've been solving equations now since about the 5th grade, but we're gonna go over some of that, review some of that. Okay, very good? Starting off easy. I said we were jumping into deep end, but we're just kinda just waiting out right now, aren't we? Alrighty, that'll be it for today. No, I just kinda numbered them to help me keep up with them, but this class being this small,
Hey,
you know,
Coach,
just
you
grab
have them all
whatever.
backwards.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're having them set against these to the front.
Oh, no, that was not very smart. Austin, I'm so glad I have you.
So it's gonna be like that forward.
I've never had any, it's amazing they worked then, because they weren't even charging. They had a little juice in them already. Thank y'all for helping me.
Oh, yeah, you just have to red box on all
Man, I can be a doofus sometimes.